Carmen, go play.
Go play.
Go play. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to do our different liquids and different solids, different densities. Okay, so do different liquids have different densities?
Yes.
Do different solids have different densities?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. Well, what is a liquid?
A liquid is a type of water, or it can be any type of like water, like olive oil.
So it's a basically like
it's
a free flowing
substance.
There you go. What is a solid?
A solid is
something that is hard, basically.
Hard like ice.
So a liquid is something that can change its shape. Can a solid change its shape?
No.
Okay. So today we're going to take liquids and solids to test to see if they're different densities. We're going to start with a variety of different liquids and pour them into a glass jar. We will then take our solid materials and drop them into the liquids to see if they are more dense or less dense than the liquids. So we have to develop a hypothesis. We stated the problem that the different liquids have different densities, different solids have different densities. We gathered our information as what is a liquid, what is density, what is a solid. Do different liquids have different densities? You said yes. Okay, our hypothesis. We're going to predict. What do you think liquids of different densities will do?
I think different liquids from different densities would like stay at the bottom or stay at the top.
Okay. What liquids do you think have a higher density than water? Of the three liquids, we got olive oil, we got syrup, and we've got water.
I think the syrup would have a higher density than the water.
Okay, you think a syrup has a higher density. So what do you think about the olive oil?
I think the olive oil has a less density than the water.
Okay. What liquids do you think? Okay, what liquids do you think have lower density? What solids do you think have more density than the liquids?
I think the bowl and the sponge and the cap would have a higher density than all three of these.
Okay. What about the sponge? What about the cap and the grape?
I said sponge cap.
Okay, what about the grape?
I think the grape would just sit there.
Will just sit there. So it'll be on top?
Yes.
So it have less density. Okay, so we design an experiment. Materials needed is a pencil and a piece of paper to record your findings, one large glass jar, a measuring cup, water. We got red or yellow food coloring. We're going to use which I think they're both red. Okay, it doesn't matter. Red or yellow or food coloring, syrup, a bolt. We have our bolt. We have sponge. We have a bottle cap and a grape. All right, the procedure. Students should work in groups of 4. Each group will need 1 cup of water, 1 cup of syrup, 1 cup of olive oil, a bolt, a bottle cap, a sponge, and a grape. So here's what we're going to do. All right, we're going to take and we're going to pour. You are going to pour 1 cup of water into this. One full cup of water. Okay, we're going to pour this into our glass jar. Without making a mess. Okay, so now, in order to add coloring, we're going to add some food coloring and kind of shake the jar up. Squeeze more. Squeeze more. Okay, now shake your jar up. This is just to show the different colors. It's mixed with a little bit of red, but okay. Okay, so now we can see that. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take and measure a cup of syrup. I probably should have had this open. Already sticky. Measure 1 cup of syrup. Hold the thing. I'm just squeezing. Alright. Alright, now we're going to pour 1 cup of syrup into our glass jar. Oh, hold on. You don't want to get it all over the place. Clean this out. Okay. So, now that we have that, we are going to pour 1 cup of olive oil. If we have enough. Can we do? Okay, so now you're going to pour that into the jar. Now that made a big difference, didn't it?
Yep.
Alright, so now we have, you said the syrup would be heavier, the water would be a little heavier, or not as heavy as the syrup, but you said that the olive oil would be less heavy than water, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are we correct so far?
Yes.
Okay. So, we got that mixed in there. Okay, what are the variables? Actually, what are the variables you're testing?
Syrup, water, olive oil,
And?
food coloring? No. Oh, solids.
So your variables are your liquids and your solids. What is your controls in this experiment?
Control.
What did you control?
We controlled the food color? No.
Were all 3 of these the same exact amount?
No.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was our controls?
Our controls were the amount the cup was.
The amount, what was?
The amount the syrup, the water, and the olive oil were.
Okay, okay. So, now that we've done it, let's record our data on which one. So, you got water is heavier than what?
The olive oil.
The olive oil's on top.
Oh no, it's heavier than the syrup.
Syrup, yeah.
So more.
It would be more, yeah. Let's write heavier. Okay, so the water is heavier than the syrup. What is the... No, the water is not heavier than the syrup. The water weighs less than the syrup. It weighs more than the olive oil. And the water weighs more than the olive oil. So olive oil weighs more than water. All right.
Wait a minute. Wouldn't
Olive
syrup
oil
weigh
weighs more. Just wait a minute. Olive oil weighs more than water. And syrup weighs more than water and olive oil. Wait a minute. Let's put olive oil and syrup and put less right here. No, below it. Below it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start dropping in our solids. And we're going to start with
The bolt.
the bolt. We're going to see what it does. So let's drop it in there. You could have dropped it in there a little nicer than that, but what did it do?
It sank all the way to the bottom.
Sank all the way to the bottom. So the bolt is more dense than
The syrup.
everything.
So,
Because it's at the bottom. It's even at the bottom of the syrup, right?
Mhm.
So it's even more dense than syrup. So it's the bolt is more dense than everything in the box.
And then
You just get the bolt. Well, you don't have to do those. Okay, so now let's put the grape in.
it sank to the water.
Sank through the water to the top of the syrup, right?
Yeah.
So the grape is more dense than
The water
and
the olive oil.
the olive oil, right? So write that down.
Sponge.
No, grape. Grape is more dense than the water and the olive oil. So go to olive oil and write grape, write less. Okay, so now we're going to do the bottle cap. You might want to help it a little bit here. Okay, so it's sinking. The bottle cap
Stayed.
went right to the bottom of the olive oil and stopped, didn't it?
Yep.
So that means what?
That the bottle cap weighs more than the olive oil.
There you go. Bottle cap.
Bottle.
Oh, now you gotta do olive oil because olive oil weighs more than the bottle cap. Olive oil weighs less than the bottle cap. Okay, so now we're gonna drop the sponge in. And the sponge went through the olive oil.
A little bit more than the olive oil.
Okay, so the sponge weighs more than
The olive oil.
the olive oil. Okay, write that down.
Olive oil. Sponge.
Olive oil,
Oh, there's no olive.
sponge, write less. Okay, so now, what did you observe when pouring the water into the jar?
Whenever I poured the water into the jar, it just stayed at the bottom because there wasn't any other liquids.
Okay, what did you observe when you poured the food coloring into the water?
It changed color into a yellowish reddish food color.
What did you observe when you started to pour the cup of syrup into the jar?
It sank to the bottom and the water came above the syrup.
Okay, what happened when you poured the olive oil into the jar?
The olive oil stayed at the top.
What happened when you started to place the solids in there? When you placed the bolt in there, what happened?
It sank all the way to the bottom.
When you placed the grape in there, what happened?
It sank all the way to the bottom of the water.
What happened when you put the bottle cap in there?
It sank all the way to the bottom of the olive oil.
And what happened when you put the...
It sank all the way to the bottom of the olive oil.
Okay, so in forming our conclusion, as to which liquids and solids were denser than the others, Record here how each different liquid and solid reacted when they were all poured together in a large glass jar. So we already did that. We said that the syrup was more dense than the water. Water was more dense than the olive oil. The bolt was more dense than all of it. Grape was more dense than the syrup. The bottle cap was more dense than the olive oil. And the sponge was more dense than the olive oil, right? Okay, so in real life, how is this knowledge of solids and liquids being more or less dense?
You could use it for for the olive oil. Isn't it a type of an oil?
Yeah.
You can see if it's like leaking out of your motor on a boat.
Okay, so you're saying if the oil's leaking out on the motor of the boat, you could see the oil on top of the water?
Yes.
Okay, well, also, since you see that some solids are more dense and less dense, what would happen if you dropped your keys into the water?
They would probably sink to the bottom.
Probably sink because they're more dense than water, right? What would happen if you dropped your bottle cap in the water?
It would go below it would sink below.
If you dropped a bottle cap in the water?
Oh, it would float on the water.
Okay, so this is applicable in real life in personal situations, but this also helps you to know in real life that when you know that things weigh more or less, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you know that other liquids can weigh more and less, just like the oil on top of the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.